I want to throw it to our panelists this morning to just discuss this. Where are we headed as far as this is concerned? And one person maybe we can begin with who is in this particular committee or the commission, the Parliamentary Service Commission, is Aaron Choriot. Aaron Choriot, you'll explain to us what is this all about? Why are we having this memorandum at this point in time? Do you think this is a providential time to actually come up with this particular memorandum? And what is domestic subsistence facilitation that you're seeking?
Good. Thank you, Dibal. And first of all, good morning, Kenya. And it's a great honor to be here as usual. And like your rightly pointed out, I don't think there is a person more qualified on the panel to speak on this other than myself, because I am a commissioner at the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Yes. Therefore,
I speak for the rest of my colleagues on the panel on the issues to do with their welfare and facilitation. And I'll be quick to speak as follows, Dibal. First of all, this is totally unfair from the media. What you guys are doing, in no civilized country will this pass for journalism, because this is not journalism that you guys are doing. A lot of these figures you're picking are false, misleading. They are only aimed at portraying members of parliament as some greedy animals who have absolutely no conscience, which is not the case. I don't know what it is that as media you will benefit after bastardizing, the House of Parliament and making us appear as if we are people without conscience. This story is totally misleading, Dibal, and I'll give you the facts and figures. There is absolutely no way that a member of Parliament can earn this 2.9 million that you're talking about. That is one, for example. Two,
given the aggregate of all these allowances,
yes, because it is absolutely misleading. The only issue that stands unresolved, because we did a memorandum to as Parliamentary Service Commission.
But if you, before you even go on, if you closely follow also all that timeline that we have there on page 4 and 5, Aaron,
yes,
surely you can see where it is actually emanating from 1998 to the current 2018 financial year.
Tell this fellow called Samuel Owino,
yes,
the guy who did the story on The Nation, that have said he's a liar, that he's misleading the public, and this is not right. And if he thinks that it is a lie, please let him point out to me what calculation of whatever manner would amount to 2.9 million that he's claiming MPs are now demanding. The only figure that is in dispute right now is this
250,000
house allowance vis-a-vis domestic subsistence allowance. And it's a very simple argument. PSC decided to pay members of parliament house allowance in follow-up to a court decision where deputy governors, just like members of parliament, were discriminated against by SRC, and they were denied housing allowance. An allowance that Employment Act of 2015, Section 44, provides that any employer must be able to provide for their employees a housing allowance. Therefore, when SRC discriminated against deputy governors went to court, and SRC then argued before the court that whatever deputy governors were being paid was cumulative pay, which included house allowance. The court held in its decision, and that decision SRC has not challenged up to date, that you cannot pay a cumulative figure and say it encompasses all allowances that are due to an employee. Therefore, it awarded deputy governors a housing allowance, which they are now enjoying. So in furtherance of that decision, because when deputy governors went to court, any court decision, it is not only the person that went to court that enjoys that particular benefit. We passed on the same, because this is a long-standing dispute that we've had with SRC. So we went on and paid the 250,000 house allowance to members of parliament. SRC quickly rushed to court, and they got a stay order against us. So, and in their argument is that members of parliament, they have their homes where they come from. Therefore, we said, okay, well and good. If you think it will be unfair to pay members of parliament house allowance, where Otiende come from, where Jakoyo and Wamatangi come from, is not necessarily here in Nairobi, because his home is in Rarieda, where he comes from. Then you have got to find a way of making him, paying for him when he comes here to Nairobi. Just like it happens across all other departments of government. If today, a government official is sent to Nakuru on work assignment, they'll be paid subsistence allowance. It happens every day in all government departments. So I do not get this obsession with the members of the media that you have against us as legislators, because there is nothing that we have paid MPs that is not paid to the other branches of government. The only problem that you have, for example, the only media house.
But over the years,
on December,
how have you been surviving then over the years? Because now this is when you're seeking this.
Yeah.
Why are we having it right now?
At this particular, I've told you it's a long-standing dispute that we've had.
Since when?
Since 2013. It has never been resolved. And until that decision of the court in 2018, October, that is when this particular matter was
But aside
resolved.
with the dispute, you actually want to have also your car grants doubled.
Car grant for the last...
Why should it be doubled?
For the last 15 years, car grant has been 5 million Kenya shillings, Dibal. Issues of inflation and so many other issues. And you know, we haven't, it's not that we have done it. We have requested SRC to vary the figure. They haven't been able to do it for the last 3 sessions of parliament. The 10th, the 11th, and this 12th parliament. They have all paid members of parliament 5 million Kenya shillings in car grants. Car grant, in simple, what it means is that because as state officers, the state is supposed to provide you with transport or a way of ensuring that you carry out your duties responsibly and without running into any difficulties. The choice, listen to me. The choice is either they provide you with transport services, that is the government of Kenya buys 450 Land Cruisers, places them at parliament, fuel them, have drivers, have maintenance. Instead of doing that, it is extremely way cheaper to give members of parliament.
Let me understand then. So you have a car loan.
Yes.
That is advanced to you, isn't
it?
Do you want a car grant?
Yes.
So the same doubling of the car grant, is it also to be doubled with the car loan? Or
no, not necessarily.
That is, yes.
And this just goes on to point out the kind of either it's just
misunderstanding or
not misunderstanding.
Yes.
It's not that these people who write these stories don't understand. It's just a desire to make MPs look like they are greedy, selfish. You know, they are immoral people. When you speak about, for example, this one for a generous mortgage, a mortgage is a loan, Dibal, just like anybody else. Aren't members of parliament entitled to a loan? It is not free money. At the end of the 5-year term, members of parliament will pay back. But even that car loan,
no one is disputing the mortgage.
Even that car loan that you're talking about, at the end of 5 years, I'll be able to pay it back. So why would you mix issues to do with my salary and the loans that I'm entitled
But the issues to do with also sitting allowance, why do you need to actually be given more allowances to what we just read, you know, from 5,000 to 7,000 shillings?
But they scrapped that one. They scrapped it out, and we haven't disputed.
So you want to say you're not receiving sitting allowances as it is right now?
Yes, we aren't.
Okay. Let's hear from Jacomi Dio on this.
I am not a member of parliament anymore.
That's why now you at least know, you know, they say if you're not in the picture, you can you can clearly see the frame.
So that what I say must be out of experience and some authority, having led members of parliament and having been a leader of parliament. You know, Dibal, you are stressing Cheriot for nothing. You can see, I'm happy that Aaron, the same vigor he defends Tanga is the same vigor he's defending this thing. But this one, he didn't need to use so much energy. I'm amazed at his consistency. But, Dibal, this is an argument which has been struggling to find its way in the media the last few weeks. The more we talk about corruption and the more we talk about the issues of referendum, the more the media has been trying to push this thing, which leads me to think that it is a non-issue. But I think this debate cannot make sense if the media is not prodding what the ministers are earning,
including CASs, they have also
what a government that can go out of its way to create unconstitutional offices like CASs and pay them. Oh. CASs on these streets are even going around with those 99s. That is cost. You begin from the unnecessary one. What is a CAS? It's not envisaged in our constitution. Then you come to the deputy governors who live in their home counties. You are giving them house allowances and they are living in their houses. And most of those houses are freehold. There's not even taxes levied on them. This is a very messy situation. But I can tell you, this story is what Donald Trump calls fake news. MPs...
What is so fake about it?
What is so fake about it is... Can you shut up? Okay. What is so fake about it, Dibal, is that I saw the lady that heads SRC go out with such gusto to demonize MPs. The one who was before her was Sarah Serem, tried to grade MPs, the job of MPs, as unprofessional service to the country. In other words, you're saying Otiende Amollo is not professional, or Boni Alwale when he was there is not a professional. You know, the country cannot move forward when it goes after its leaders in isolation. There is no way a CAS handpicked from nowhere should have more perks from the person who gives the budget to the country. The alternative, when a Kiwumi commission was formed, it was formed, one of the cardinal duties was to figure out why are MPs corrupt, why are politicians corrupt? Because you are paying them a paltry 70,000 shillings, then you call private sector or government to go into those committees, they will have to cough money. They will have to cough money. A person who is properly paid, it doesn't mean that if they are properly remunerated, others should not be. And about this joke about high wage bill, it is not sorted, it can never be sorted out by reducing people's salaries. It can be sorted out by taking away the bad meat, the rotten meat, the ones we don't need in the system. It's just that SRC is not doing recommendations. It keeps talking about salaries. But there are so many layers of public service that we do not need. You are complaining about an MP having a car. An MP must have a car. An MP must have a car. That is not an easy job. In this country, if I was an MP and I went to game, the people think I am the government. And that means burying people, it means doing all these things. Put against a salary of 600,000 shillings, most MPs live very miserable. That is no wonder the ones who were kicked out with us, or who lost alongside me, are all in corridors of government trying to look to be put in boards and all those things, because they can't wiggle. No room to wiggle. Let us do this thing right. This Salary and Remuneration Commission can do better. But lastly, the Parliamentary Service Commission is a commission like any other commission. It's not a pseudo commission. It's a commission like any other commission. Now that the country has decided that it is not necessary, please abolish it. That is why we are calling for a referendum to clean up this system, to reorganize the civil service, to reorganize the political structure, to reorganize the administrative structure. But the moment you keep doing what has happened in this country for the last 10 years, I think we will end up where we are, because you have seen the result. MPs denying SRC a budget. Why is nobody asking what the judges are doing? How many cars, you saw how many cars the judges are trying to buy. This whole issue of independence, whether it's parliament or judiciary or executive, we need to sort it out in this coming referendum. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from Otiende Amollo, because we have a threat here that car grant should be permanent feature in terms and conditions of service for an MP. If SRC is not willing to accede to this request, PAC shall pursuant to its mandate under Article 127 of the Constitution purchase a motor vehicle for each MP and thereafter fuel and maintain the same through regular service. This is what the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, is saying. Should Parliament adopt this proposal, the vehicle bought for MPs by PS will be registered to the government, and hence the Commission will hire drivers and transport managers for the vehicles, which Muturi says is a necessary additional burden on taxpayers. And this is what the new parliamentarians are seeking.
Well, I find myself in a very interesting situation. There are 2 pages, I think almost 4 pages dedicated to the question of salaries of MPs.
Page 4 and 5.
I have seen very choice words, both from yourself and from other media houses, including yesterday, House of Greed, obscene, and some. I just sit back and wonder, are we talking about the people I know, including me as a member of parliament, or is this something else that I don't know? Because I see proposals, I see figures that are strange to me. Even the story you've just read on that page, its contradiction is self-evident. When you say that PSC is urging SRC to agree, then in the same breath you say if Parliament adopts that proposal, then the contradiction is obvious. A proposal by the Parliamentary Service Commission to SRC should not and cannot be the basis of concluding the greed of all members of Parliament. It is a proposal. And it should not be confused then with saying members of Parliament if they adopt. You see? Anyway, let me put this in context, because for me, I think this is a discussion that is misplaced. First of all, as a member of Parliament, my motivation in running was never to come and make money. It is not to make money. And for speaking for myself, I would not care if they doubled my salary 5 times or if they reduced it 5 times. Because at the end of the day, with the 2 or so years I've been a member of Parliament, the truth of the matter is that anything you get as a member of Parliament is used on the constituents within the first 7 days, and that is the truth. Yes. Anything and any increment increases the amount of money that is available to the constituents. Any decrease decreases the amount of money that is available to the constituents. And therefore, for me, it is a matter that must be determined by the relevant bodies. The second point is, and again speaking for myself, the Constitution is clear on this matter. We set up the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to set and review salaries and remuneration of state officers. That is their constitutional job. We also set up the Parliamentary Service Commission to, among other matters, to review the services and facilities that are available to the members. Between the 2 commissions, it is expected that they should, bearing in mind everything that should be considered, arrive at what is reasonable pay and remuneration and benefits to the members of Parliament without subjecting us members of Parliament or you, the media, or anybody else to all these discussions. Thirdly, I can tell you, anytime you say members have increased their salaries, they've increased their benefits, they wish, trust me, most members of Parliament read about these matters in the media. And members who've been there before me, Dr. Halwale, Jacob Midio, will tell you, because for me, I can tell you, that even for the 2 years we've been there is no occasion when the question of salaries and benefits has come to the floor for discussion. It is a mandate of the Parliamentary Service Commission, and there are those which they can deal with because they are an independent commission, as Jacob Midio was saying, and once they decide it is effective, there is no opportunity for it to come for adoption in the plenary. And there are those which they engage with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So every time there's any issue and then all the members are condemned that they have increased, you'd imagine that there's a debate that is in the plenary and then now, those for and those against the way we debate most legislation. That is not the case. The case is totally different. But more importantly, for me, because there are those institutions, between the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, whatever they agree on, I am happy to take. But if they don't agree and the matter goes to court, as it is now in court, whatever the court decides, I will abide. So part of the question that I ask myself is, if these matters are in court, and indeed they are, why is there a sudden interest in discussing the merit or demerit of matters that are already before the court? Why am I being drawn here as a lawyer and an MP to discuss matters which I know are alive in court?
No,
Let me just finish.
but let's be
Dibal, let
very
me just-
clear. What are
no,
the merits and demerits
no.
about the 250,000?
No,
Because it's not being discussed here.
Hold on.
We are
hold
looking
on.
at these other
Dibal,
17 allowances.
Dibal,
Yes.
That's the point I'm making. And you and I have been here before. You and I know the restraint with which, personally speaking for myself, I always engage with on matters that are live before the court. So the question I'm posing is, then why this, instead of pushing this in court, why is it being discussed here now? I concede that not just members of parliament, not just the president, not just the cabinet secretary, we must all be alive to the fact that the purse strings in this country are diminishing and the demands are increasing.
Thank you.
We must all be alive to the fact that we have to rationalize, okay? Now, let me talk about this rationalization.
Could we, before you talk about rationalization, hear from Watangi
But
and
let
Boni?
me just finish. You posed the question, Dibal. It is not fair to pose the question and you let us hanging. I don't want to come back to this subject because for me, all I'm saying is all I'm saying on it now. I'm not coming back to it.
Okay.
First of all, there's some immense, there must be an appreciation by all of us, including members of parliament, that we need to adjust. But this adjustment should be considered across the board. The truth is, we set up the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to consider the necessary adjustment for this country across the board. That adjustment must not only focus on members of parliament.
So you think
must focus
they're
on
cherry
everyone
picking on
else.
the members of
What
parliament?
I want to tell you is, I've served in the committee of experts. I've been the ombudsman. I've been in private practice before this. I have never been as broke as I am now as a member of parliament.
Yes.
Let me explain to you. Yes, I'm telling you.
It is the truth.
I am telling you. And quite
Well,
honestly,
it depends what
if
broke means.
No.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you only briefly. If you look at Article 260, there are at least 17 categories of state officers. Of all those state officers, I can tell you they enjoy certain perks. So let me tell you the ones I enjoyed as ombudsman. And it's enjoyed by all. One, you have a motor vehicle that is purchased by government, that is maintained by government, that is fueled by government. Two, you have a mortgage scheme, not of 20 million, but of 35 million, okay? Which, unlike parliament, which you have to pay in 5 million, in 5 years, you can pay for up to 20 years, even after you leave service.
After you leave service.
I am telling you what other state officers
Maintaining
get.
the same
That-
rate?
I am telling you, yes.
The
The
same-
same rate.
The same rate that you
Yes.
give it? Okay.
Thirdly, you are provided with a driver and most times a bodyguard. And any time you travel, they are catered for. As a member of parliament, you cater and arrange for all of those of yourself. But beyond all that, when you then now see that they're talking about a figure of like 2.9 million, you don't understand, because I can tell you that what's available to members of parliament is 20 million for mortgage and 5 million. I can tell you, Dibal, that any member who has proceeded to take that loan of 20 million, the earnings is zero. I'm telling you, I have not taken it because I did the calculation. And if you take that 20 million, you will not be able to take the car loan of 5 million because your earnings cannot support both. You know, these are things that must be put. I have not taken either, I'm telling you. And for me who has not taken either, if you look at the figures that comes on that salary slip, the figure is 500,000. When they take of 2.9 million, I don't understand. So now, by the time I was elected,
The
member of
2.9
parliament,
is the proposed. It's not the take-home.
no.
Yes,
Even
yes.
before that, you always talk of a figure of 1 point something million.
Yes.
I don't know where you
The
get that
aggregate
from.
of all these allowances as well.
You know, Dibal, sometimes we should discuss this thing in a very specific manner, where you even ask, bring that salary slip, and so that it can be analyzed. Now, let me tell you, by the time I was elected, I already had my house in Nairobi. Since I was elected, I've not bought any house, I've hardly bought anything. But it is not true that all members were living in Nairobi by the time they were elected, that they had houses. I may have been privileged. Maybe some of us were privileged by the time they were being elected. But there are members, and you saw like some members who by the time they were being elected, I think like our colleague it's Uhuru Kenyatta, who had to donate a car to him. When you see those kinds of members, then you empathize. Now, the summary of my position is this. First, there is immense exaggeration in this discussion, which is unfair. Two, it is true that we must all rationalize what people earn, including members of parliament, and abide the reality of the day. But three, all of us must come with the perception that we are not coming to make money, we are coming to serve. Because ultimately, there's hardly any money you will make as a member of parliament. And the discussion should be taken seriously by the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and save all of us, Kenyans generally and members of parliament, this unnecessary discussion.
All right.